welcome to the mat. My name is Ria, and I'll guide you safely through postures that will strengthen your body, where you'll get stretched throughout the whole body as well, and hopefully find some peace and also get you thinking a little bit. Today I'll, as usual, share a story from the Bible, as this is CrossYoga, which is yoga with a Christian perspective, and of course for everybody, no matter faith or religious beliefs. This story challenges me, and actually I kind of need that once in a while. So maybe you will be challenged as well and have the opportunity to surrender. Take a seat or find rest on the mat if you prefer. So taking a seat can be whatever kind of seated posture you like, but close your eyes when you're ready. Maybe you kind of notice the sitting bones, the glutes on the floor, if you're seated like me. The spine tall, the head on top of the spine, not looking back or up or to the side or whatever we tend to do. And then let go of anything that might be really filling you up right now. Things that might take your focus from the practice that we'll share together. If you believe in God, you might release it into God's almighty loving hands. And then we'll use alternating nostril breathing today. So you can take your hand, your right hand, I'll mirror you, and put your right thumb on your right nostril and push it in so you kind of close it off. Then you inhale through the left nostril. Huge deep inhale, and then you close both nostrils with pointy index finger and your thumb. Hold your breath for a moment. Lift the thumb and exhale through the right nostril. Inhale through the right. Closing both off, holding your breath. And we want to even those inhales, exhales, and hold our breath. And then exhale, lift your pointy index finger. And then you think you've got it. Inhale here. Maybe you count. So 5 or something, hold your breath, relax your shoulders. And exhale, and find your own rhythm just for a moment, and we'll try to focus here. And next time you exhale, just let your hand rest. You can either stay seated or do some movements seated on the mat as I read this text from Luke 21. So Jesus is sitting with his friends, the disciples, by the temple, which was the religious church, so to say, for the Jewish people. And there, at that time, 2,000 years ago, they were making offerings both with animals and with money as well. And this is where this story takes place. As he looked up, Jesus saw the rich putting their gifts into the temple treasury. He also saw a poor widow put in 2 very small copper coins. I tell you the truth, he said. This poor widow has put in more than all of those. All these people gave their gifts out of wealth, but she, out of her poverty, put in all she had to live on. Reading the last verse again. This poor widow has put more than all of those. All these people gave their gifts out of their wealth, but she, out of her poverty, put all she had to live on. What does this story remind you of right now? Let's move a little bit and I'll come back to the story. So we move your spine, your shoulders. If you are a little bit like me, I get challenged by reading this because I know that I'm wealthy. A lot of us are in the Western societies and cultures. And I can relate to those priests putting in bits and pieces in the treasury. And that's why this story challenged me, because I don't feel like the widow giving her all. Or do I? All right, so yeah, I'll come back to that. But sometimes it's okay to have a little bit of an itch in the scriptures that we read, because sometimes we learn and grow if things are not always well placed and put into our nice little lives. I hope you have made your way into downward facing dog slowly as I talked. Paddle your feet and make sure you widen the distance there in between your fingers. Remember how deep you were breathing with that alternating nostril breath. We're going to come down on our knees. So if you want extra padding for knees, you can fold the mat or blanket or whatever. So come up on your knees so that your knees and hip is stacked, and then reach your arms up overhead and go for a supported back bend, so hands behind your head. Push your hips slightly forward. And again, straighten your spine, kind of tilt from the hip, bring your hands as far to the front as you like, going down with your chest, getting a bit of a stretch in between your shoulders, and maybe you sway from side to side gently here. And then find downward facing dog again. Let's lift up left leg this time, just not always to begin with, right? So your left leg, bend the knee and do a bit of circle movements. And then move to the other side, left leg. Go for some hip opening things here. If you prefer tabletop instead with your knees down, you can definitely do this posture in tabletop as well. Maybe in contrast to the story, you don't have to give your all on the yoga mat unless you really want to, okay? Plant the feet and then walk both feet to the top end of the mat with some distance in between those feet, and then roll up into your mountain pose. Spread out your toes. And take a deep, deep breath. Open up your mouth and sigh out. Reach the arms up overhead. And let's go for a little bit of a twist. So you stay put. I'm just going to move to the center here. So you move your arms, that the hips stay with the short end of the mat probably, and then move your arms to your long end of the mat. And then up again, finding chair pose. So you sit, take the hip back and still staying at the top of the mat. Going as low as you like. Let the spine stay tall and long, and then bring your hands behind you, squeezing the shoulder blades. Bring the arms in a huge circle up, and when they're up against the floor or the ceiling, you fall forward and reach down towards the floor. Taking the right leg, lift it up and put it to the back end of the mat somewhat. High lunge. So you let go of the floor, stack front knee and ankle, reach the arms up. Take a full breath. And then you open up your chest, so you twist this one. If your left leg as the front, you twist to your left side. Maybe the arms comes out here, align it with the floor. And then you take this front hand down on the floor. Slowly kind of wiggle that front foot out to the side so it moves out to the left side. The back foot again out to the left side, so you come into a variation of a supported side plank. Lift the hip up. Then lower down on your side like this if possible. And then maybe crossing your legs and leaning slightly forward like this. Awkward cross-legged thing as best as you can. No need to overdo things. Lift up again. Wiggle the feet back, finding plank on toes or knees. Maybe on your knees the first time, lower down, chest down towards the mat. Lift up from there, cobra or your up dog, and then downward facing dog. Make sure your spine is straight and then bend your knees. I see so many people have their legs stretched and their spine bended, so please bend your knees. Keep that spine long. Repeating this. Coming to the top of the mat, fold forward. Rise up. Engage the core as you stand tall. Lift the arms up over your head and kind of put the pressure into the abdomen so you stay put with your hip as you bring your arms down for kind of a twist with the top of the spine. So don't move everything out. This time you would move to your left. arms up again. Turn the shoulders, the chest to the front. Sit down in your chair. Make sure your toes are on the mat as well. Bring your arms back and rotate the shoulders back as you do this. And see if you can do a huge circle. Arms reach up before then you fold forward. Your left leg up. Move it to the back of the mat. Again, stacking front knee and ankle. And slowly see if you can balance. High lunge. Relax your shoulders. And then you twist towards your right side. So turn your chest towards your right side. Maybe your arms come out aligned with the floor. Just keep the eyes on the floor if your balance is very challenged here. Slowly lean forward. Left hand down, maybe somewhat aligned with the front foot. And you wiggle your right foot out, pointing out to the side, the back foot out to the other toes to the side, and go for this supported side plank. Then lower the hip down, crossing the top leg. That was the right, is now on the top. And just whatever way you can, find this cross-legged position. I know I'm with the back towards you, but leaning forward. Doesn't have to be perfect alignment with the knees there. Release, moving back into your plank. Lower down, lifting up, cobra, up dog, whatever you choose. Downward facing dog. Come to the top of the mat. Roll up and just pausing for a moment. What do you give your all to? It can be where you spent the most money, but it can also be where you spent time or energy, where your mind tend to wander off. What do you put in the treasure box in your life? And maybe you need to let go of some of that. Maybe if you dive deeper into this question, you can come to realize that you might put a lot of time and effort into worrying or fear. Maybe the past or even the future. If there's things you need to surrender, let's do that with our bodies before we repeat the sequence. So bring your hands up. Maybe saying, I need help. I know I need help. That's one of the reasons why I believe in God. I know I cannot manage my life really that well all by myself. And then maybe you surrender as you fall forward, soften your knees. Letting go of what you need to let go of. And then let go of any thoughts about punishing yourself or feeling bad about being who you are. When we have asked for forgiveness, when we have surrendered, we are free. Doesn't mean we don't fall into the same pit again, but we are still free, so we don't need to hit ourselves in the head. So let's breathe freely. Inhale, reach your arms up, twisting with your shoulders towards your right side. Reach the arms up again. Maybe you inhale, folding forward, exhale. Take the right leg up. Maybe you inhale. Slowly take the toes to the back end. Exhale. High lunge. Inhale. Reach the arms up overhead. Exhaling. Staying here as low as you like today. Going for that twist. Inhale towards your left side. And exhale. Tall spine up towards the sky. Inhaling, reach the arms down, right hand. And exhale, kind of wiggle your feet, left foot out, finding that plank. Let's take one breath here. Then lower down on your hip. And whatever, maybe cross-legged position works better for you. Left leg is at the top. Fold forward, one breath. Release. Maybe you inhale as you make your way into plank. Exhale, lower down. Inhale, cobra or up dog. Exhale, down dog. One breath. Jump or walk to the top of the mat. Fold forward, exhale. High mountain. Reach the arms up. You are free. Twisting to your left side. Maybe you move your hip towards the right. Inhale, reach the arms up. Turning forward, exhale, folding forward. Left leg, reach up, inhale. Exhale, lowering it down. High lunge, inhale. Again, just wiggle your way, finding that posture that makes sense. Exhale. Twisting to your right side. Gaze on the floor. Hopefully this is challenging as well. Leaning forward, left hand down. Maybe you inhale. On your exhale, slowly kind of make your way to this side plank. Now the hands on the floor, make sure you don't hyperextend the elbow and bring that shoulder slightly back. Take a seat. Again, cross-legged. Battle with my mat here. So that your right leg is at the top. Releasing. Again, plank. Or if you feel tired, just stay in down dog. Down dog. Lower down if you want. Lifting, inhale. Down dog, exhale. Again, one breath. Jump and walk to the top of the mat. Fold forward. And then high mountain. Hands into a prayer pose. Staying put for a moment. We identified maybe what we are putting most of our energy and effort into. But then if that's not what we want to do, then what do we want to put our effort into? In my case, I really want to put my all into my faith. I know that might be weird, but I found a love so amazing and so beautiful that I know if I surrender it, it just makes sense. Now stay with your hands in prayer pose and lift your left leg up. And maybe go as high as you can. So just lift the leg up and bend the knee. Let's dance. So you take the left hand and put the thumb back. Bring the leg, left, behind you. Grab for the arch of the foot. And then kind of kick the foot into the hand. Leaning forward and bringing the leg, the foot back, not out to the side. And then you find that maybe balance from front to left. Releasing and lower down the left foot to the back of the mat. And then turn around for a wide stance. So just do whatever distance you like, but make sure the toes are pointing slightly in so that your knees and toes are in the same direction when you lean forward. Now you can just stay here or dance from left to right, or you might want to make your way into a headstand. So again, no need to overdo things, but if you want to, tripod headstand, hands on the floor, take the legs out to the side and lift up. And maybe you go out again, see if you can kind of make your way down without falling. Of course, use the wall if you prefer. Release. And then walk your hands and your feet to the top end of the mat where you usually were standing or are standing here during our practice. Fold forward. And again, rise up. This time, bring your palms together on top of your head and look up. And then bring your hands towards your chest in prayer pose with a straight spine. One breath. Put weight on your left leg so you can lift up the right. And as we did before, go for a high lift. We want to engage the hip flexors that we're going to stretch when we take the leg back. So the psoas is engaged here as well. And then bring the leg, the foot back. Right thumb back. Again, grab the arch, I like that, of the foot. Leaning forward, bringing the free arm to the front to kind of balance off the front and the back side. Breathe. And then release. Just lower down the foot. No need to go for a wide stand again. Reach the arms up. Fold forward. Let's stay here for a moment. That's a variation where you can kind of step on the palm. So if you can reach down, you might take the palm facing up and kind of massage your palms with your toes here. Just soften your knees so it feels comfortable. And release. Step back, down dog, just 2 breaths here. Maybe you feel like you can stretch and elongate all the back of the leg a little bit more. And then child's pose. Bring your knees down. Make sure you have some distance in between the knees. So you can stay put. When I say distance, this is my distance. I like that. So wider than tabletop. Hip back. And just bring any pillow or things in between your knees if that helps your knees stay here. And then walk your hands pretty much to the front of the mat. Take the elbows in by your head as much as you possibly can. Palms together. And then bring those palms together back behind your head. And then you might adjust your elbows further to the front, further in towards the head, whatever makes sense for a little bit of a tricep stretch. One of the biggest things I had to surrender in my life was when I was around 20. I went to Thailand and worked at an AIDS hospice for 3 to 4 months. HIV patients who had AIDS and were dying. I went there for adventure and I got back with kind of depression. Sort of traumatized by all the death and the pain I saw there. And by God's grace, it's a long story, I went to Australia a few months later. I have a video where I share more of my story, but I just want to share this part. And during that time in Australia, I was in a Christian school. I had to surrender my willingness to go back to that place. I'll elaborate a little bit more, but just bring your hands down towards the mat. Shake your shoulders off. And take a seat. We can do butterfly pose. Sole of the feet together, legs out. Leaning forward with the navel leading. So when I was staying in Australia, we were talking a lot about surrender, giving our all, giving those 2 copper coins as the widower were doing there. And I was so horrified by my experiences there in Thailand that I was not willing to go back. And I felt like God was really challenging me. Are you willing to go back if I call you? And it took weeks, even months, I think, before I was able to say, I don't want to do it. I don't feel like doing it. My emotions don't want to go there. But God, if you are calling me back there, for some reason, I don't know, I would go. God never called me back. But that struggle, the willingness to surrender, pain, as well as my own comfort. That was to me an experience. Maybe you have something similar. Maybe there's forgiveness you need to surrender. Hate or jealousy, all those things. Now find a comfortable seat. I'm going to go neck stretch. So bring your head towards your left side. Now you can either take the nose slightly up or slightly down, whatever you like for a great stretch. Left arm up, just a little bit of pressure, I would call it, on the head, not pulling. My right hand is behind my back. If you don't feel anything, you might check in if your spine is straight or you're kind of just sagging as you were sitting here. And put your head up. Opposite side. In order to surrender, we need trust. Of course, we don't want to surrender to things we don't know. So if you don't believe in God or new to all of this, it might be an odd thing to surrender. And maybe even surrender the comfort to God. But as you get to know God, at least that's been my case, and God's love and how it heals and just does amazing things in your life, it becomes never easy, but easier to surrender, I think. And let go. You can either take a rest on the mat. I prefer staying seated just for now. But come down in resting pose with your legs out to the side, your hands resting on the floor with that shoulder girdle open. And then softly close your eyes. Slow your breath. Maybe Jesus was also sharing this story with his friends, the disciples, because he put everything into the treasure box, so to say. During Easter, he surrendered his life on the cross in order to create that balance and that connection with God that I cannot, through my own power and effort, create. I need that help. And Jesus showed the way, so to say, or made the path clear for me through death, but also through resurrection. And sometimes my brain needs to surrender, really understanding that story that my heart knows and trusts in. it's time to finish this session. Please stay on the mat and maybe express some gratitude or whatever you need to. Maybe just rest. When you're ready to take a seat, do it slow, wiggling your fingers and toes and taking your good time before you're coming to a seat. I just want to greet you with the blessings of God, God's peace and love and everything good from my heart to yours. Thank you.